In this video, you will learn how to lend and borrow crypto on multiple networks such as Ethereum, Base, and others through the legendary Aave. Whether it's ETH, stablecoins, or your favorite altcoins, almost every asset is at your command. So before we begin, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button, and let's dive straight into it. And to begin with, my friends, we are currently on the Aave website, which is aave.com. And before you get started, you're going to need to confirm that you have an Ethereum compatible wallet and, of course, assets in that wallet. That could very simply be on Ethereum, it could be on Base, it could be on Unichain, it could be on any compatible EVM network. Therefore, what we want to do is we want to get started by opening up the application. Once we are here, we want to get ourselves logged in the top right corner. As you can see, we have now got MetaMask or Sub-Wallet, Phantom, Kepler, or whichever wallets appear. Nonetheless, we are going with the MetaMask option. You can also use a burner wallet if you feel more comfortable. However, once you are in, guys, as you can see, we are now directed on the Optimism market. However, there are various different networks that Aave is compatible on. Like I said, you can use the Ethereum mainnet, you can utilize Base, you can utilize Arbitrum, Avalanche, Sonic, OP, Polygon, Metis, Gnosis, BNB Chain, Scroll, ZK Sync, Linear, CeeLo, Sonium, EtherFi, and many more soon to come. Now, where do we get started? Well, guys, what this is all about is lending or borrowing cryptocurrencies, as you may have imagined. And whether or not you want to lend assets, that will obviously determine what you do. And whether or not you want to borrow assets, that will also determine what you do on this platform. So to get started, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to first choose our network. Let's just say we wanted to supply assets or borrow assets on Base. First of all, you can see the supplies of which you may have already borrowed or supplied. As you can see, I've already lent out Ethereum assets and USDC assets on the Base network. However, I've got $70 with which I'm lending over on Ethereum and $8.80 of USDC. I can always deposit more and I can always withdraw at any given time. Depending on the assets will also depend on the APY of which you will either earn or of which, of course, you're going to have to pay back. So for example, for the assets that I'm lending out of Ethereum on the Base network, I'm earning 1.7% APY. A nice, solid, stable passive income of which isn't that much. However, down below, you can also see the assets to supply of which you may have in your wallet. That is on the left-hand side. However, on the right-hand side of this, you can see assets to borrow. Now, there are so many assets of which you can lend or borrow, guys. Honestly, there's a huge list. It depends which assets that you have. But if, for example, on the left-hand side, you wanted to lend out your Ethereum tokens, how do we start lending? Well, first things first is we're going to need to have some Ethereum tokens, which I'm assuming you do because this is an Ethereum compatible wallet that we are using primarily. So Ethereum tokens are obviously the gas tokens. Now, once you're ready, guys, you just want to choose the ETH token down here. You're going to need to switch to the Base network because that's the network that we are supplying assets on. Next, you just want to choose an amount. It could either be $5, $10. It depends on how much you want to provide in order to earn passive income through lending. So for example, guys, let's just say I put in $2.50. I know it's not that much, but by supplying these assets of which are idle in my wallet, I'm going to be now earning 1.7% APY on top of my Ethereum assets. Honestly, guys, for those who have been lending out assets throughout the bear market, you have probably made some nice returns due to the fact that it's been years and you probably stored your assets on Aave being lent out to other users for a small APY. Now, it's not going to make you rich with the small amounts that I'm doing. However, if you know that you're going to be holding Ethereum or any assets in your wallet for a while, sometimes it's good to lend it out because you can earn some passive income on top of it. So guys, that is how easy it is to lend out assets. And now you can see on the left-hand side on our supplies list that we've got more Ethereum that we've lent out. We are now earning 1.70% on our 0.029 Ethereum tokens. This is earning us a solid passive income stream until, of course, we decide to withdraw. So if at any given time you want to withdraw your lent out assets, it's so simple. You just click the withdraw button. Here, you're just going to either A, withdraw and choose the amount of which you want to withdraw and unwrap to ETH or just the standard ETH, and it will go directly into your wallet. Or you can either go to withdraw and switch and you can swap it into another token such as Go, which is a native Aave token. You've got CB Bitcoin, which is Coinbase Bitcoin, and WE ETH. So it's entirely up to you if you wanted to convert it into that when you're withdrawing your assets. But most people are going to do it the simple method of which they're going to want to either have it in wrapped ETH or ETH. Choice is yours. However, what if you wanted to supply USDC? What if you wanted to supply another asset? Well, guys, let's just swap to another network just to show you as an example. You can basically replicate this across any network, whether you're looking to lend or borrow on Base, Optimism, Unichain, or Ethereum. You can replicate this across every single network. It works exactly the same. So, for example, let's just say we now swap down to Optimism. This time we want to supply some sort of asset on Optimism. Now, you can already see I'm supplying ETH on the Optimism network. only $21 worth. And I'm going to go through all the reasons why you would want to lend or borrow crypto at the end of the video. But for now, let's just say we wanted to lend out another token. On the left-hand side, we can see so many different assets of which we can lend out on Optimism. You can lend out ETH, OP, Wrapped Stake ETH, RETH, which is Rocket ETH, Wrapped Ethereum, Wrapped Bitcoin, USDC, USDT, USDC.E, or whichever one you want. Guys, it depends on the APY, it depends on your risk tolerance, and of course, it depends on which assets that you have in your wallet. So for example, if we wanted to get USDC supplied over on Optimism, we're first going to need to get some Optimism tokens. So first of all, we're going to use a decentralized exchange, and this has nothing to do with the Aave protocol. But of course, if you wanted to supply an asset, you'd have to swap in order to get those tokens to supply. So first step, we're going to head to Uniswap. And Uniswap is a leading EVM decentralized exchange, and we have a full tutorial for those who are interested. Nonetheless, once you are here, we now need to get ourselves over to the Optimism network, which we're going to filter up here in the search bar. We're going to choose OP mainnet. We're going to choose our Ethereum tokens to swap from. You can choose another token, it's entirely up to you as long as you have ETH as the gas token. We're then going to find the USDC token, so we just need to scroll down, find USDC. Next, all we need to do is, guys, very simply choose an amount. So either if it was $1, $2.50, it depends on, of course, your budget. However, this is just a tutorial and just simply how to show you how to swap and then use those tokens to lend out on Aave. So first step is getting our tokens, which we're going to get $2.50 worth of USDC. Boom, as you can see, nice simple swap. Then we go back over to Aave. So simple, we give the page a refresh. Next, you're going to see your assets appear on the left-hand side, which are available to supply. If we supply $2.50, we can earn ourselves 2.74% APY, which is actually more than the Ethereum token. So it could be more beneficial for you guys to supply USDC. Of course, that doesn't actually factor in the fact that Ethereum could go up in price while you're lending it out. Stable coins will always stay as the stable price, obviously, as it's a stable coin. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to supply this USDC. I need to switch over to the Optimism network, and I now need to approve it and then supply it. Honestly, guys, it is as simple as that, and you can supply and lend out any single asset within your wallet, of course, on the Aave protocol if it accepts it. Now, most of the primary biggest altcoins are going to be available on the Aave protocol, and of course, the leading cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. You are not restricted, guys. There are many different cryptocurrencies that you can lend out. Nonetheless, that is how to lend out cryptocurrencies on different networks. We've shown you how to lend out on Base and Optimism. Like I said, you can replicate this across any single network. It works exactly the same on every single network of Aave. So what's next, guys? So we've shown you how to lend out cryptocurrencies, and this is going to enable you to earn passive income just by providing the assets that are idle in your wallet. However, what's next? Now, for those who want to borrow assets, now this comes with extreme risk, my friends, more risk than just lending out cryptocurrencies. And I urge you to do your own research if you are borrowing cryptocurrencies. This is not going to be for everyone, and this is only for the seasoned DeFi pros. Honestly, guys, borrowing cryptocurrencies is extremely risky. And if you are a beginner to crypto, I would completely avoid this step and just focus on lending if, of course, you want passive income. If you do want some sort of DeFi guide on how to borrow cryptocurrencies properly, please let us know in the comment section down below, and we'll focus more on that for you. But this is just quickly how to borrow it if you were looking how to do it. So first of all, of course, I imagine that you have a cryptocurrency that you are looking to borrow. Now, the thing is, you're going to need to have to supply assets in order to borrow assets. And this is because you're going to need to have collateral. And as you can see, on the right-hand side are the assets to borrow. Now, we're on the Optimism mainnet still, but you can swap on any different network. It depends where you want to borrow your tokens. So for example, if you wanted to borrow ETH, the only available amount that we can borrow is $18.52. Wrapped Stake ETH, basically the same amount. Basically the same amount on any single cryptocurrency here. Why? Because they are using our cryptocurrencies as a collateral if, of course, we weren't able to pay it back. But if you wanted to borrow ETH, for example, and you wanted to have more ETH in your wallet because you've already supplied assets on the Aave protocol, you are allowed to. But please bear in mind that there is an APY of which you must pay back by utilizing those ETH tokens. And this only works, for example, because if I'm lending out my Ethereum tokens, I want to be rewarded. And it's only fair enough. If I'm using someone else's Ethereum, I'm going to have to pay them basically, and this is how the protocol works. It is a nice, beautiful loop. So you have to understand it before you get started. Now, if you wanted to borrow ETH, you could very simply borrow ETH, choose an amount. Here, as you can see, borrowing this amount will reduce your health factor and increase risk of liquidation. So make sure, guys, that the health factor is very healthy. Liquidation above 1. So it's very important to drop it below. So for example, if you wanted to borrow 0.001, which is $2.50, your health factor is $7.78, and you have an extremely small chance of obviously getting liquidated. If it is at 1 or below, then guys, obviously the chance of getting liquidated and losing all of the assets is extremely possible. So it's make sure that of course you are comfortable with it, and make sure that you are keeping a strong and close eye on that health factor. Nonetheless, you can either A, unwrap it to ETH, or B, just borrow to ETH. The choice is yours. Next, I'm just going to borrow wrapped ETH, and boom, confirm it, and you are good to go. Now, once that's done, guys, you are obviously borrowed ETH and you've got $2.50 more in your wallet. However, you won't want to keep this here for the whole time because you are going to be consistently paying back. So once you are ready, guys, and if you have used your Ethereum tokens in another DeFi protocol to pay it back, and you may have got some sort of great loop, then of course, by all means, continue doing what you're doing. But of course, once you're ready to pay back what you've borrowed, all you need to do is head over to the Repay section. Now you just choose the amount you are repaying, which is the $2.50 basically, and you'll see that we have no remaining debt after we've confirmed it. That's exactly what we want to do, guys. We don't want to make sure that we are constantly paying back. Instead, it's better to lend and obviously earn. However, the choice is yours, guys. If you are borrowing cryptocurrencies for a specific reason to earn more elsewhere, fantastic. But that is how to lend and borrow. Guys, we could very simply replicate this across any different available network, whether that's Arbitrum or not. You can see that we've supplied assets on so many different networks. Polygon, Arbitrum, Base, Optimism, Avalanche. I haven't actually done anything on Avalanche. But basically, why would you want to supply and borrow assets on Aave? Well, personally, guys, I think it is a great way to get a fantastic on-chain footprint. This will enable you to qualify for airdrops along the way. Not only that, but you can lend out your tokens to earn a solid passive income, of which most people have idle tokens sitting in their wallet throughout the entire bear market. And then by the time the bull market comes, they could have earned so much more tokens on top of their tokens just by lending it out on popular protocols such as Aave. So honestly, there are so many reasons to lend and borrow cryptocurrencies. A lot of people borrow cryptocurrencies in order to use their tokens on other DeFi protocols, which are rewarding more than of which they are paying on the borrowing. So there are many ways to utilize cryptocurrencies through Aave, and I think this is a fantastic protocol that you should all get acquainted with. If you would like an advanced tutorial on Aave in the future, you can let us know and we will try and do so. However, guys, for now, the primary thing that we wanted to show you was how to lend and borrow on different networks on Aave. There are other things you can check out, such as staking, but we are not here to show you how to stake on the Aave protocol because that is a separate thing of which you can do. Nonetheless, there are many assets of which you can stake, such as USDC, USDT, wrapped Ethereum, and more, of which are going to reward you with a delicious APY. If you're looking for lending, borrowing, staking, this is the hub. They've also got a swapping feature now, of which you can swap assets directly in the Aave platform. You don't have to head over to leading dexes such as Uniswap, of which we did earlier, but this is very handy to have if, of course, you wanted some quick swapping going on. But friends, thank you so much for tuning in. If you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Nonetheless, up the top in the market section, you'll be able to see all the assets that are available to supply and borrow. There are so many different more, and if you've supplied any assets, guys, you can click on one, and of course, you'll be able to see what you've done yourself. So on the right-hand side, I've not got any wrapped ETH, but on the right of that, I've got 0.042 ETH, of which I've supplied on all of the networks on the Aave protocol. I can supply and withdraw any given time, guys. I absolutely love this platform, and I've been depositing on here for years, and I've earned small amounts of APY on my Ethereum, but of course, it's better than nothing. I wish I'd supplied more over those years. However, this is just a tutorial wallet. And friends, we hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget that we are not financial advisors. We do not give any financial advice. You must always conduct your own research and use a burner wallet if you feel more comfortable. However, if you have any requests whatsoever, please let us know in the comment section down below. But friends, we'll see you in the next video.